Let's shift focus to a market voice, and an interesting one at that. Nitin Rakesh, who used to at one point in time be with Motilal Oswal Securities and is now the CEO and president of Syntel, which is basically a global IT and KPO company based in the US, joins in to talk about his company and his recent elevation, in fact, to CEO and president, and about the markets, considering that he's been a long-time veteran. Nitin, hi, good to see you in, and firstly, congratulations on the promotion that you've got. But first, I'm going to ask you about the markets, because the Nifty is at an all-time high, and I'm sure you missed all of the action that's taken place in the markets in this year itself. Your thoughts?
Thank you. I think, again, you're probably better placed at understanding what's going on in the markets, but clearly it looks like, we have a lot of optimism based on what's going on in the political environment. There's clearly renewed hope and vigor. We've had some improvement in the macro situation, within India, more stability around the world. Money is still available pretty cheaply in most developed markets. So I think, liquidity has been very good. And all of that is reflecting in the fact that markets are at an all-time high. So I think it's been a good last 12 months, in terms of, having missed it. We've watched it from a distance, and happy to see that markets are coming back.
Nitin, hi, morning. We of course have the big trigger, the general elections. Do you think that the kind of rally that we have seen, that's pricing in the best, or could the market move up more if market gets what it wants?
I think a lot of it might be in the prices, so I wouldn't be surprised if the market takes it in its stride if things go the way the market is expecting them to go. But if we have a negative surprise, then I think there's also a knee-jerk reaction possible. So it's an even chance, but that's all what markets are all about. I think the discounting is pretty quick, so whichever way it happens, we should see a quick response and swift reaction from the markets.
Nitin, you must be interacting with a lot of FIIs and the entire investor base also in the US. What are FIIs thinking towards India, and is it just an event-based outcome that they're looking at, or is it long-term money which has entered India? And will the flows even continue, considering that, for example, we've seen 4,500 crores in terms of FII cash on a month-to-date basis already?
I don't really interact a lot with the FIIs, but definitely we interact a lot with businesses that have a pretty global view. The macro environment is pretty stable. There's discretionary spending in the market, in businesses, and that's obviously leading to a significant amount of re-rating of the overall macro environment globally as well. In terms of what kind of money is coming in, I'm not sure I have the best idea given my current scope and span.
So, Nitin, let's talk about your plans then for Syntel. What would be your roadmap for the company over the next 3 to 5 years?
We are in a pretty exciting phase in the IT business. The transformation that a lot of businesses are going through globally, at the back of the new consumption consumers coming out of the digital age, consumers that have never really seen anything but mobile devices and tablets and phones. They're forcing businesses to rethink their engagement model with those consumers, rethink their business processes, and most importantly, understand what IT setup they need, because the new benchmark is set by firms like Google and Amazon and not by the traditional businesses. So I think that's leading to some very, very disruptive innovation in the business, which also means that a lot of the incumbents, large market share companies, whether they're banks or insurance companies or healthcare providers or manufacturing companies, need to reinvent their IT systems, their technology platforms, and that's really what we are focused on. In fact, we'll be announcing the launch of a new cross-industry service line called Syntel Digital I later on today, which essentially brings together all of our service offerings in a digital offering and helps customers accelerate their adoption of digital technologies and puts them on the roadmap for this transformation. So I think it's really one of the most exciting times in industry, in our business, and the next few years are going to be fairly transformative for our clients and us.
And how are Indian IT companies placed in this transformation according to you, Nitin?
I think a lot of us, who understand our clients' businesses, have been working with them over the past, many years in keeping their systems up and running, launching new systems. I think we are very cognizant of the fact that we have to make this transformation for our customers, and hence, Syntel's decided to invest in creating the Syntel Digital I service line, and we've already had many elements of that in place, and we are bringing it together. So I think you would see some good, I would say, elements of how Indian IT will play a role.
Okay, I think we've lost that link. We'll try and get connected back with Nitin Rakesh, but he was primarily talking about the IT space in the US as well at this point in time. But just turning back, focusing on the Nifty again, the Nifty is up around 0.4%. I think we have Nitin back with us. Nitin, you were saying?
Yeah, so I think most of us have in the industry realized that the next few years are we're at the cusp of a fairly long-term mega trend of adoption of digital technologies. Whether it's to do with mobility, mobile first, looking at how to get closer to your consumers, how to connect deeper with the new generation of digital customers. So I think most of the of companies in the space are having a renewed focus. And we believe that Syntel, with their offering of Digital One, will also be able to capture a large portion of that market share.
All right, Nitin, before you leave us, just I wanted to just wear the hat of market expert one more time. The last year was all about IT stocks. This year, of course, start was almost like that, but we have seen big participation from domestic cyclicals now. Banks have seen a rally. Stocks like Larsen and Toubro have seen 60 to 70% rally. Going forward, what should be a good portfolio stance?
Yeah, I think, Anush, there is obviously a cyclical comeback of what we used to call the old economy stocks or capital goods or infrastructure stocks, and I think that's because of the improvement in some macro indicators. I don't think we are out of the woods yet completely with even things like inflation or interest rates or the investment cycle. I think if the investment cycle doesn't pick up, then this might end up being a cyclical rally of cyclical stocks. If you do see a true improvement in underlying macro indicators, then I think we'll continue to see a good broad-based rally across not just consumption or IT, but I would say the core economy stocks should do well as well. So I think it's really we're in the middle of that uptick. We need to watch the data for a few more quarters. And clearly the next 3 to 6 months will set the tone with a new government in place. So I think we're at an interesting time in the markets. We would one would hope that we'll have a stable government and we'll carry on the good work that we've seen in the last few months on the macro front.
Okay, before we wrap up this conversation, then Nitin, are you voting tomorrow?
Well, unfortunately, I'm leaving back for the US tonight. We have a fair amount of activities lined up there as well, but I'm hoping that we'll have a very good turnout, because that's what we need for us for a fair election. Okay,
fair enough, Nitin. Thanks very much for joining in. So that's Nitin Rakesh, who is now with Syntel Inc, talking about the Indian markets as well as the IT industry in the US.